Oh, yes. Oh, yes. There is so much needed, so very much needed. And it will not come from within Muslim world, I assure you. Intellectually or politically, it will not come from within Muslim world. And Professor Bruce Lawrence's Quran in English gives you an answer that why redefining of certain basic fundamental concepts is so very important for Muslim world to see the light. Without that, it's not going to happen, and it will the the uh, the locks are so tight, the chains are so powerful, the minds and the eyes and the thoughts of the people that could make the difference. It's very 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 difficult, and there are lots of scholars right now that are talking about to to look redefine certain basic concept, redefine not the fundamental, but to read it fairly, read the basic concepts of faith fairly. As I mentioned, in because of the politics and all of it, that brings me back to Declaration of Independence. As a Muslim, I look at it from another angle. There had not been a scholar, an author that was so powerful, that was so direct to point to the unfairness, indignities of the human being as Declaration of Independence does. Some of my Muslim friends may get annoyed when I say this, but so be it, because centuries and centuries and centuries of dictatorships, kings and queens and princes and all this, no one has the courage to say enough is enough. We are declaring our independence. Up until the Declaration of Independence of United States, the only state. Prior to then, I come from state of Virginia, a proud Virginian as well. It was the state of Virginia which enacted the Religious Freedom Act in Virginia. No other nation in the world, it's a challenge to your audience. Find me any state which enacted and implemented. I'm not talking about article in a book or drafting and writing a book on a concept of freedom of religion and all that. Show me where it was enacted, made into law. I am a proud Virginian because it's the first state on the planet Earth that enacted, made it law. In practice, if we have failed, that is a different topic. But you don't find such dignities anywhere in the world, in any literature, in any system of government, but in the United States. First Amendment. The forerunner was, of course, the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom, and then comes the First Amendment. Show me any constitution of the world that, and I'm not talking about just on piece of paper, I'm talking about the jurisprudence. I'll take you to the library that is full of cases that have handled under First Amendment, one way or the other, whichever way it is, but it has been debated, it has been discussed, it has been implemented, and it continues even today forcefully. So it is such moment that will that needs to take place, and that in a faith, among people of faith, that takes centuries. First Amendment or the Declaration of Independence or U.S. Constitution didn't happen. It took hundreds of years of people going through, of suffering, of realizing what is our destiny, where we are headed. Thoughtful people putting their heads together, writing, discussing, suffering. I must pay tribute to those who put their names and their counties and their estates on the Declaration of Independence, full well knowing what they were doing, what the consequences would be. It's that kind of courage is needed to get Muslims out of the slumber that they have fallen. It has not taken. It should have come. Declaration of Independence should have come in the Muslim world hundreds of years before Declaration of Independence of America. You don't see it anywhere. Statute for Religious Freedom should have come somewhere in one of the Muslim countries, somewhere, long before it was enacted in the state of Virginia. So it's long coming, but there are hopes, because I do read some scholars that are working on these matters, trying to enlighten. These are Muslim scholars, and these are current, my contemporaries, meaning that they're still working, they're alive, they're writing, but they're in such a minority that it will take very long time before this redefining of the basic concept of the faith are brought to light.